I want you to take a deep breath right now and really listen. Because what I'm about to say is not just words, it's a wake-up call. You are capable of far more than you realize, far more than you've allowed yourself to believe. You've been playing small, waiting for someone to hand you permission, waiting for the stars to align, waiting for the world to notice you. But let me tell you something. The world will not wait for you, and your greatness will not wait for you either. Every second you hesitate, every moment you doubt, every excuse you tell yourself is stealing the life that is meant for you. That life, that version of yourself that wakes up every day with fire in your soul is waiting. But it will only appear if you push yourself harder than you ever have before. If you refuse to settle for mediocrity, if you step into the discomfort that everyone else is running from. This is not a game. This is your life. Right now, I want you to think about how many times you convinced yourself that you weren't T-ready. How many times you've said, I'll start tomorrow, or maybe next week, or I'm just not strong enough. That stops today. Every single great person you admire started right where you are now, with doubts, with fear, with uncertainty. But what set them apart was one thing. They decided to push. They decided to fight. They decided to refuse to quit. They chose action over hesitation. They chose sacrifice over comfort. They chose themselves over excuses. And that choice, that decision, is what separates ordinary people from those who dominate life. Today, I am asking you to make that same decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. I know you face failures. I know life has knocked you down. I know you've been rejected, underestimated, or overlooked. But here's the truth. Every single setback you've experienced is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to rise, to push, to prove to yourself and the world that nothing can keep you from your destiny. The fire that burns inside you is stronger than the fear that holds you back. And every time you hesitate, you rob yourself of the chance to discover how powerful you really are. Greatness isn't given. It isn't handed to you on a silver platter. It is claimed. It is fought for. It is demanded. And the only person standing between you and the life you've always dreamed of is you. So stay with me. Listen to every word. Let it sink in. Let it ignite something deep inside your soul that refuses to be ignored. You are here for a reason. You are not average. You are not meant to drift through life quietly, watching others achieve while you wait for permission to rise. You are here to push past your limits, to fight through the pain, to conquer every doubt, and to claim your greatness with everything you've got. By the end of this, you will either step into your full power or you will go back to the life you've been living. The choice is yours, but know this, if you stay with me, if you open your mind and heart, if you commit to hearing this message until the very last second, you will leave different. You will leave motivated. You will leave ready to push yourself beyond anything you thought was possible. Your time is now. Your life is waiting. Your greatness is calling. The only question is, are you ready to answer? Discipline is the silent force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's not glamorous. It doesn't get applause, and most people will never recognize it. Yet it is the foundation of every life of greatness. People look at success and see the awards, the recognition, the wealth, the status, but they fail to see the countless early mornings, the late nights, the repetitive grind that built the person behind that success. Discipline is waking up when your body screams to stay in bed. Discipline is continuing to push forward when everyone else has given up. Discipline is doing the work no one is watching. The work that doesn't feel good, the work that is necessary to sculpt the life you claim you want. Too many people think talent, luck, or opportunity are what makes someone great. They're wrong. Talent gets you started. Luck may give you a chance, but discipline is what turns that chance into reality. Without discipline, potential stays just that, potential. It never materializes. It never transforms into results. It never becomes greatness. Relentless discipline is a mindset, a way of life. It's a refusal to negotiate it yourself. It's the ability to say no to distractions, no to procrastination, no to excuses. It's understanding that the decisions you make today, in this exact moment, are the ones that shape your future. When you embrace discipline, you accept that success is not going to come because it's convenient or because you feel like it. Success comes because you are willing to do the work every single day, regardless of how you feel, regardless of circumstances, regardless of whether anyone is watching or praising you. It's easy to be motivated when inspiration strikes, when everything is going your way, when the path seems clear. That's not discipline. Discipline is showing up when the path is dark, when the obstacles are massive, when every fiber of your being wants to quit. That is where the difference between mediocrity and greatness lies. People are comfortable living in a world of excuses. I don't have enough time, they say. I'm too tired, they complain. I'll start tomorrow, they convince themselves. But discipline refuses to let these lies dictate the story of your life. Discipline is about taking control. It is about understanding that your life is not a product of chance. It is a product of choice. Every action you take, every habit you form, every decision you make builds or breaks your future. Discipline is the bridge between where you are now and the greatness you desire. It is the engine that drives consistent progress. And it is what allows you to endure when the world tries to stop you. The power of discipline is often invisible, but its results are undeniable. Think of every person you admire, every individual who has reached extraordinary heights in their field. What do they all have in common? They have mastered their habits. They have learned to control their impulses. They have sacrificed temporary comfort for long-term gain. They have understood that greatness is not a moment. It is a process, a series of deliberate choices executed consistently over time. And those choices are made possible only through discipline. Discipline is waking up before the sun rises to chase your goals while the world sleeps. Discipline is pushing yourself through physical, mental, and emotional pain because you know that nothing worth having comes without struggle. Discipline is maintaining focus when distractions are everywhere, when the internet, social media, and the noise of life try to pull you away from your purpose. Discipline is the invisible backbone of every achievement, and without it, even the greatest dreams will crumble. Discipline also requires sacrifice. There is no greatness without trade-offs. Every hour you spend mindlessly scrolling, every night you sleep instead of grinding, every temptation you give into, these are hours, nights, and opportunities you will never get back. Discipline is about making the hard choice today to invest in your tomorrow. It is about understanding that every small, consistent effort compounds into something massive over time. It is not flashy. It is not immediate. It is slow, steady, and often painful, but it is unstoppable. Discipline builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds results. And results build the life you have always dreamed of. Most people underestimate the importance of internal control. They look outside for motivation, inspiration, validation, or push. They wait for someone to tell them to go, to cheer them on, to reward them for doing the work they should be doing anyway. That is not discipline. Discipline is internal. Discipline is the ability to push yourself because you know that no one else is going to do it for you. It is waking up before the world does, training harder than anyone else and holding yourself accountable when no one else is holding you to your word. It is showing up even when the conditions are not perfect because you know that perfect conditions never exist for greatness. The world will never bend to your dreams. So you must bend yourself to the world through relentless effort, self-control, and unyielding discipline. Embracing relentless discipline is also about embracing consistency. You do not need to be perfect, but you do need to show up consistently. It is better to take small, deliberate actions every day than to try to do everything at once and burn out. Discipline is forming habits that reinforce your goals, habits that push you toward your potential, habits that make excellence inevitable. Over time, discipline becomes second nature. It becomes who you are. It is no longer a choice. It is your identity. And when you identify as someone who is disciplined, someone who never quits, someone who holds themselves accountable in every area of life, you unlock a power that no obstacle, no failure, no setback can stop. you become unstoppable. The truth is, most people will never embrace discipline because it is hard, uncomfortable, and requires sacrifice. But that is why it works. That is why it separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Discipline is the hammer that breaks excuses. Discipline is the light that guides you through the darkness. Discipline is the weapon that turns your potential into your reality. To embrace relentless discipline is to choose greatness, to choose to rise above mediocrity, and to refuse to let your life be dictated by laziness, fear, or indecision. It is to commit to yourself fully, to push harder than you think possible, and to demand from yourself what most people cannot even imagine asking. When you embrace discipline, you stop waiting for permission to be great. You stop hoping for luck or waiting for the right moment. You take control of your destiny. You do the work. You endure the struggle. You make the sacrifices. And one day, the life that once seemed out of reach will be yours. Not because of chance, not because of talent, but because you were disciplined enough to earn it. Greatness is not a gift. It is a result. And the result comes to hoes who embrace relentless discipline day in and day out until the world has no choice but to recognize them. Discomfort is the arena where greatness is forged, yet most people spend their entire lives running from it. They chase comfort, convenience, and certainty, thinking that life's rewards will come to them without struggle, without pain, without challenge. But the truth is that comfort kills ambition. Comfort lulls you into mediocrity. It whispers lies that keep you small, stagnant, and safe, and it keeps you from realizing the extraordinary potential that is buried inside of you. If you want to be great, if you want to push yourself beyond the ordinary, you must step into discomfort every single day. You must welcome the struggle, seek out the challenge, and embrace the pain that accompanies growth. Discomfort is not the enemy, it is the gateway. It is the proving ground where you discover who you really are, where your limits are tested, and where your capacity to rise is revealed. Most people think they are uncomfortable when they are simply confronted with effort. They confuse hard work with suffering, but hard work is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is the vehicle that carries you from where you are to where you want to be. Every time you step into a situation that tests your patience, your endurance, or your courage, you are stretching your capacity. You are building mental toughness. You are rewiring your mind to handle challenges that would break the average person. Discomfort forces you to operate at the edge of your ability. And it is in that space, uncomfortable as it may be, that transformation occurs. If you never push yourself past your comfort zone, you will never know the true extent of what you are capable of achieving. There is a critical distinction between seeking comfort and seeking growth. Comfort is temporary. It feels safe. It feels easy. Growth is permanent. It is hard. It is messy. It is full of setbacks, failures, and moments where you doubt yourself. But it is only by embracing growth that you can step into your greatness. You must train your mind to see discomfort not as a threat, but as a signal that you are moving in the right direction. When life pushes you into situations that challenge your body, your mind, or your spirit, recognize it as an opportunity. Recognize it as a chance to rise, to evolve, to expand your limits, and to separate yourself from the crowd. Stepping into discomfort is not just about physical challenges. It's about confronting fear, doubt, and uncertainty head on. It's about doing the things that terrify you, the tasks you avoid, the conversations you hesitate to have, and the responsibilities you want to run from. Every time you face your fears, every time you take action despite uncertainty, you are building courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of fear. And the world is full of people who never step into discomfort, who let fear dictate their choices, who settle for a life far below their potential. Don't be one of them. Train yourself to embrace fear, to lean into the unknown, and to see the challenges that make you uncomfortable as the very path to greatness. Discomfort is also a test of patience and resilience. The process of growth is never instant. It demands persistence in the face of struggle, dedication when results are invisible, and endurance when obstacles seem insurmountable. Stepping into discomfort means showing up even when it hurts, even when your body resists, even when your mind screams for relief. It is the recognition that every moment of struggle is an investment in the future version of yourself, the stronger, smarter, braver, and more capable version who will one day look back and realize that every uncomfortable step was necessary to get there. You cannot shortcut this process. You cannot avoid it. You cannot plead your way around it. You must walk through the fire of discomfort, knowing that on the other side, greatness awaits. The world is not designed to reward comfort. It rewards courage, resilience, and action. It rewards those who do the things that others refuse to do. Every successful individual you admire, every person who has achieved something extraordinary has one thing in common. They learn to thrive in discomfort. They refuse to let fear, fatigue, or uncertainty dictate their actions. They embrace the grind, the pain, and the struggle, understanding that the only way to achieve their dreams was to put themselves in situations that were difficult, challenging, and often terrifying. And that is exactly what you must do. You must train yourself to seek discomfort. You must push past the moments when quitting feels easier, when excuses feel justified, when the temptation to stay safe feels irresistible. Every time you resist that temptation, you grow. Every time you embrace difficulty, you advance. Every time you step into discomfort, you are one step closer to greatness. Discomfort is also a test of character. It reveals who you are when no one is watching. It reveals what you value, what you are willing to endure, and how committed you truly are to your dreams. It is easy to act brave when everything is going well. It is easy to persevere when success seems imminent. The real test comes when life pushes back, when circumstances are harsh, when failure stares you in the face. That is when discomfort becomes your teacher. That is when it demands that you dig deeper, work harder, and prove to yourself that you are not defined by pain or fear, but by the way you respond to it. Character is forged in discomfort, and without it, you will never reach the heights you are capable of achieving. To step into discomfort is to take full responsibility for your growth. It is to refuse to wait for perfect conditions, for external validation, or for circumstances to align in your favor. It is to create your own environment, to take bold action, and to push yourself to the limits of what is familiar and safe. Every time you stretch yourself beyond what is comfortable, you expand your capacity for success. You build mental toughness, emotional resilience, and the confidence to tackle anything life throws your way. Discomfort becomes no longer something to fear, but a sign that you are moving forward, a signal that you are growing, and proof that you are capable of achieving more than you ever imagined. The truth is, most people will never embrace discomfort. And that is why they never reach greatness. They settle for safe lives, predictable routines, and easy choices. They avoid challenges, excuses, and fear because it is easier to remain small than to risk failing. But you are not here to be average. You are not here to follow the path of least resistance. You are here to push yourself beyond limits, to test your potential, and to rise above the ordinary. Discomfort is your ally, your training ground, and your key to unlocking the life you were meant to live. Every time you choose discomfort over comfort, every time you step into fear instead of running from it, you are building a future that is stronger, bolder, and greater than the life you leave behind. Embrace discomfort, chase it, welcome it, make it your friend, your teacher, and your fuel. Understand that growth and greatness are always found on the other side of fear, pain, and struggle. Let discomfort be the fire that shapes you, the pressure that strengthens you, and the test hat proves your worth. And one day, when you look back at the life you have built, you will realize that every moment of discomfort, every challenge you faced, every time you pushed past fear, was exactly what you needed to become the extraordinary person you were always capable of being. The greatest enemy you will ever face in your life is not the people around you. It is not the economy. It is not your circumstances, and it is not your failures. The biggest obstacle standing between you and the greatness you crave is yourself, your mind, your beliefs, your excuses, and the stories you tell yourself about what you can and cannot do. These are the chains that hold you back. If you want to push yourself to be great, the first battle you must fight is the battle against your own limits. You have to stop looking outside for permission, validation, or opportunity and start looking inside at the voice that says you are not enough, the voice that says you cannot, the voice that convinces you to quit before the fight is over. That voice is lying to you. It is designed to keep you small, safe, and average. Greatness is found only when you rise above it, only when you push past what you think is possible. Only when you refuse to accept the limits you have set for yourself. Most people live their lives under invisible ceilings. They stop themselves from reaching higher, trying harder, and dreaming bigger because they have been conditioned to believe in limits that do not exist. They are convinced by past failures, by fear, by doubt, and by the opinions of others that there is a line they cannot cross. But let me tell you something. Those limits are not real. They are illusions, mental walls constructed by your mind to protect you from discomfort, pain, and the unknown. If you never challenge them, you will never know what lies beyond them. If you never fight back against the idea that you are somehow less than or not capable, you will spend your entire life wondering what could have been. Defeating your own limits begins with recognizing that you are stronger, smarter, and more capable than you have been trained to believe. It begins with refusing to accept the boundaries that fear and doubt have drawn around your life. Defeating your limits requires brutal honesty with yourself. You have to look at your habits, your choices, your excuses, and ask yourself, am I living up to my potential? Am I pushing myself as hard as I can? Or am I settling for what is comfortable? Most people settle. They tell themselves it is enough to try a little, to work a little, to dream a little. But a life of mediocrity is never satisfying. A life of greatness demands that you confront the truth about your own limitations and make a choice. Either continue to let them control you or rise above them with relentless effort, focus, and determination. It is uncomfortable. It is exhausting. It is terrifying, but it is necessary. Every extraordinary life, every legacy, every achieve. The myth begins the moment someone decides to fight the limits imposed by themselves. Your mind is the battleground for this fight. The moment you start thinking you cannot, the moment you accept that you are limited, is the moment you begin to fail. Thoughts are powerful, and the stories you tell yourself shape your actions. If you tell yourself that you are weak, that you are incapable, that you cannot achieve your dreams, you will behave as though it is true. But the opposite is also true. When you commit to challenging those thoughts, when you train your mind to believe that you are capable of far more than you imagine, you start acting differently. You start taking risks that you would have once avoided. You start persevering when others quit. You begin to push your limits incrementally until one day those limits crumble entirely and you realize you are capable of extraordinary things. Defeating your own limits is not just a mental exercise. It is a physical and emotional one as well. It requires discipline, consistency, and sacrifice. Every time you push past fatigue, every time you refuse to quit in the middle of struggle, every time you continue when the world tells you to stop, you are defeating the boundaries you have placed on yourself. Growth is uncomfortable. Progress is painful. But the pain is temporary, while the reward is eternal. You will never achieve your dreams by waiting for the easy path, by staying within the lines, by doing only what feels comfortable. You achieve greatness when you refuse to be constrained by fear, doubt, or the arbitrary limits you have internalized. Most people underestimate the power of incremental victory. They think defeating limits means achieving instant success or accomplishing massive goals overnight. But real change comes from pushing past the small limits every single day. It is showing up consistently, working harder than you have ever worked, and refusing to let excuses govern your behavior. It is learning to endure discomfort, failure, and setbacks without surrendering. Every time you take a step beyond what you thought was possible, you are defeating your limits. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you push yourself just a little harder, you chip away at the mental walls that have kept you trapped. Over time, those walls crumble completely, and you discover that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. Defeating your own limits also requires courage. It requires the courage to face yourself honestly, to confront your weaknesses, and to challenge the comfort zones you have built around your life. It requires the courage to fail, to fall, and to rise again. Every failure, every setback, every mistake is an opportunity to test yourself, to prove to yourself that the limits you believed in were illusions. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is taking action despite fear. And every time you push past what scares you, you defeat another limit. Every time you do the hard thing, you teach yourself that you are bigger than your doubts, stronger than your fears, and more capable than you have ever believed. It is also about vision. You must see a life beyond your current boundaries. You must imagine a version of yourself that is stronger, smarter, faster, and more capable than the version you are today. That vision will pull you forward when your mind tells you to stop. That vision will remind you that the limits you feel are temporary, arbitrary, and conquerable. You cannot defeat your limits without knowing what you are striving for, without holding a picture in your mind of the life you intend to create. The bigger your vision, the more necessary it becomes to challenge every limitation that stands in your way. The truth is, most people will never defeat their limits because it is easier to surrender than to fight. It is easier to blame circumstances, to listen to fear, to accept the lies they tell themselves about who they are and what they can achieve. But you are not like most people. You are here to push yourself, to rise above, and to claim the greatness that is waiting for you. Your limits are not fixed. They are temporary, flexible, and conquerable. Every time you challenge yourself, every time you refuse to quit, every time you push beyond what you thought possible, you are winning. You are building strength, resilience, and confidence that cannot be taken away. You are becoming unstoppable. Defeating your own limits is the key to unlocking Key life you desire. It is the difference between potential wasted and potential realized. It is the difference between a life of mediocrity and a life of extraordinary achievement. The only way to reach your dreams, to build the future you deserve, to push yourself to greatness, is to face yourself honestly, challenge your fears, break your chains, and refuse to be limited by anything except the sky itself. When you do that, when you commit to fighting your limits every day, you discover something powerful. You are capable of far more than you ever imagined. And greatness is not a distant dream. It is your inevitable reality if you are willing to do the work, embrace the struggle, and never ever give up. Talent is often glorified. People look at those who achieve greatness and think it is raw ability, natural gifts, or inherent skill that set them apart. They see someone winning, thriving, or dominating in their field and assume it is talent alone that carried them there. But the truth is harsh and it is simple. Talent without consistency is wasted potential. You can be the most naturally gifted person in the world, but if you show up sporadically, if you do the work only when it feels easy, if you wait for inspiration instead of taking action every single day, your talent will never become results. Consistency beats talent because it compounds. Every single action you take, every single effort you make, every single day you refuse to quit, builds momentum that cannot be stopped. Consistency transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Most people underestimate the power of showing up. They think talent is enough. They think one great performance, one lucky opportunity, one moment of brilliance will carry them to the life they desire. That is not how it works. Life rewards those who can endure, those who can grind, those who can maintain focus when the excitement fades and the motivation disappears. Consistency is showing up even when no one is watching. Consistency is pushing yourself on the days you don't feel like it. Consistency is embracing the small, repetitive actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but over time shape your entire future. Talent may open the door, but consistency builds the house. Without it, potential remains potential. Dreams remain dreams, and greatness remains out of reach. Consistency beats talent because it builds resilience. Talent can give you an edge, but talent can also give you excuses. Talent can make you lazy, make you complacent, make you think that because you are naturally gifted, you can take shortcuts, coast through challenges, or ignore the fundamentals. But life does not care about your gifts. It cares about your effort. Consistency forces you to face yourself every day, to confront your weaknesses, to endure setbacks, to persist in the face of frustration and fatigue. It builds a mental toughness that talent alone cannot provide. Every day you show up, every day you put in the work, you are strengthening your mind, your discipline, and your capacity to endure. That endurance, that ability to keep moving forward when everyone else quits, is what separates ordinary from extraordinary. Consistency is also about mastery. Talent might give you the tools to succeed, but repetition, practice, and persistent effort are what make you truly excellent. The person who works tirelessly on the fundamentals day in and day out will outperform the person who relies solely on natural ability. Every successful individual you admire has one thing in common. They committed to doing the work over and over again, perfecting their craft, learning from their failures, and refusing to quit. Consistency allows you to improve incrementally, building skills, confidence, and results that compound over time. Talent may open doors, but consistency ensures you walk through them and stay on the path until you achieve your goals. It is easy to be motivated when things are going well. It is easy to put in effort when inspiration strikes. But consistency requires showing up when it is hard, when life is messy, when circumstances are unfair, when your body and mind scream for relief. That is the test. That is the moment that determines whether you will be average or whether you will rise to greatness. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about committing to the process, even when the results are slow, invisible, or disappointing. Every time you keep going, you don't feel like it. Every time you do the work in silence, every time you refuse to quit, you are building a future that talent alone could never create. The world is full of talented people who never achieve greatness. They have gifts, they have potential, they have promise, but they fail to show up. They fail to commit to the daily grind. They fail to be relentless in their pursuit. And as a result, they are surpassed by those who may have less natural ability, but who refuse to stop, who refuse to quit, and who refuse to let excuses dictate their life. Consistency is the great equalizer. It levels the playing field. It allows ordinary people to do extraordinary things because it compounds effort over time. Every day you put in the work, you move closer to your goals. Every day you refuse to quit, you make the impossible possible. Talent is only a starting point. Consistency is the engine that drives you to the finish line. Consistency is also a mindset. It is about understanding that success is not a moment. It is a journey. It is not a single act. It is a series of repeated actions, habits, and decisions executed over time. You must train yourself to value the process over the outcome, to embrace the work over the reward, to love the effort more than the applause. When you adopt this mindset, you stop waiting for motivation, inspiration, or luck. You stop relying on external forces to push you forward. You take responsibility for your growth and your results. And you commit to showing up every day, no matter what. That commitment is what builds unstoppable momentum. Consistency also requires sacrifice. It demands that you give up instant gratification, that you say no to distractions, that you prioritize long-term goals over short-term pleasure. Every time you make the conscious choice to do the work, to stick to the process, to show up when others would quit, you are building a future that cannot be taken from you. Every day of consistent effort adds up. Every day you refuse to let laziness, fear, or procrastination control you, you get stronger, better, and closer to your potential. And eventually, that consistency will produce results that talent alone could never have delivered. The truth is, most people fail because they are inconsistent. They start with excitement, they burn brightly for a short time, and then they fade. They rely on talent, motivation, or opportunity instead of showing up every single day. But you cannot achieve greatness this way. You must commit to consistency. You must train yourself to do the work even when it is hard, even when it feels pointless, even when the world is indifferent to your effort. Consistency transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It builds momentum, resilience, and mastery. It ensures that your talent does not go to waste. To push yourself to be great, you must embrace consistency as your weapon. You must show up when no one else does. Put in the work when it feels difficult. And persist when it seems like progress is invisible. Every day you do this, you are beating the odds, proving to yourself that you are unstoppable and building a life that cannot be ignored. Talent may have given you a starting point, but consistency will carry you to your destination. It will turn your potential into results, your dreams into reality, and your efforts into legacy. Those who understand this, who commit to showing up every day, who refuse to quit, are the ones who dominate, who rise, and who push themselves beyond anything they ever thought possible. Consistency beats talent because it is not about luck. It is not about inspiration. It is about effort, repetition, and unwavering commitment. It is about doing the work again and again, long after the excitement has faded and long after the applause has ended. Every day you commit to showing up. Every day you refuse to quit. Every day you take one more step towards your goals. You are proving that effort over time is more powerful than any gift or advantage you could have been given. The champions, the legends, the extraordinary lives we admire, they were not always the most talented. They were the most consistent. And that is why they stand apart from everyone else. Sacrifice is the silent currency of greatness. It is the invisible toll you pay for the life you want to live, the success you desire, and the person you are determined to become. Yet most people never understand this. They want everything instanto. They want the reward without the work, the glory without the grind, the results without the pain. That is not how greatness is built. The truth is that if you want to push yourself to be great, you must be willing to give up something today so that your future self can rise above the ordinary. Sacrifice is not a punishment. It is an investment. Every choice you make today, every comfort you give up, every temptation you resist is a deposit into the life you are building for tomorrow. And those deposits compound, eventually producing results that are far beyond what talent, luck, or opportunity alone could achieve. Most people misunderstand what sacrifice truly means. They think it is suffering without purpose, giving up joy, or living a life of denial. But sacrifice, when done with intention, is powerful. It is a conscious choice to prioritize long-term gains over short-term pleasures. It is the ability to say no to distractions, to instant gratification, and to things that seem good now but will hurt your future. It is waking up early when the world is still asleep, training your body and mind when others are resting, studying when your friends are playing, and working when no one else is watching. These small intentional acts of sacrifice accumulate over time, and one day the life you dreamed of will no longer be a dream. It will be your reality. Sacrifice is not easy. It is uncomfortable. It is painful. It forces you to confront your desires and prioritize the future over the present. It means choosing discipline over comfort, effort over leisure, and vision over instant gratification. Every day you are presented with choices, and most people choose the path of least resistance. They choose comfort, convenience, and the temporary pleasure of the moment. But if you want to rise, if you want to push yourself beyond what others consider possible, you must make the hard choices. You must sacrifice today so that tomorrow you can live a life that others only dream about. Greatness always requires paying a price, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can claim it. Sacrifice is also about understanding that what you give up today is not loss. It is preparation. Every hour of hard work, every moment of delay, every refusal to give in to temptation strengthens your mind, builds your character, and equips you for the future. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, you must be willing to pay the price in the present to create the life you desire. That means staying focused when others are distracted, grinding when others are quitting, and enduring when others are complaining. Every choice to sacrifice builds momentum. Every refusal to compromise your future builds confidence. Every act of self-discipline shapes the life you are destined to live. Most people fail to reach greatness because they are unwilling to sacrifice. They want the reward without the work. They want success without paying the price. They want recognition without putting in the hours, the sweat, the tears, and the relentless effort. But life does not work that way. The world does not reward laziness, procrastination, or temporary pleasure. It rewards those who are willing to endure, those who are willing to work harder than anyone else, those who understand that the life they want is worth the discomfort, the struggle, and the sacrifice required to achieve it. If you want to push yourself to be great, you must embrace sacrifice as your ally, not your enemy. Sacrifice is not just about work. It is also about mindset. It is the mental strength to prioritize long-term results over short-term satisfaction. It is the ability to say no when everyone else is saying yes, to resist temptation when others are giving in, and to hold yourself accountable even when no one else is watching. Sacrifice requires self-control, patience, and vision. It requires seeing the bigger picture, understanding the value of delayed gratification, and trusting that the effort you put in today will create the future you desire. Every decision to sacrifice reinforces the idea that you are committed to your goals, and commitment is the foundation of all achievement. There is also a social cost to sacrifice. People may not understand your choices. They may question why you work so hard, why you refuse to join in on distractions, or why you delay gratification while they indulge. But sacrifice is personal. It is a commitment to your own growth and your own vision, not to the approval or understanding of others. The people who achieve greatness do not wait for permission or applause. They are willing to walk alone, to endure criticism, and to make unpopular choices because they understand that the price of success is paid in the currency of sacrifice. Sacrifice is also about timing. It is about understanding that short-term pain is temporary, while long-term reward is lasting. You may miss parties, sleep late nights, or give up certain pleasures today, but the payoff will come when you are standing at the top, looking back at everyone who took the easy path and realizing that you invested in yourself when no one else did. Sacrifice is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It is the invisible force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. Without it, potential goes unrealized, dreams go unfulfilled, and greatness remains out of reach. Every choice you make today is a reflection of the future you are building. When you sacrifice, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you are serious, committed, and relentless. Every hour spent grinding, every moment resisting temptation, every action that prioritizes your goals over temporary pleasure is an investment in your future self. You are creating a version of yourself that is stronger, smarter, and more capable. You are laying the foundation for a life that will one day inspire others. And that is the essence of pushing yourself to be great. The truth is, most people fail because they value comfort over growth, pleasure over purpose, and the present over the future. But those who understand the power of sacrifice rise above the crowd. They endure, they persist, and they make the choices that others refuse to make. They understand that greatness is never free. It requires a commitment to paying the price today for the life you want tomorrow. They refuse to be distracted, delayed, or derailed. They understand that every act of sacrifice compounds into momentum, progress, and ultimate success. Sacrifice is the defining trait of those who push themselves to greatness. It is what separates dreamers from doers, ordinary people from extraordinary people, and potential from achievement. It is not easy. It is not convenient. It is not fun, but it is necessary. If you want to be great, you must be willing to give up something today. You must endure pain, resist temptation, delay gratification, and do the work that others will not. You must invest in your future self, trust the process, and keep moving forward no matter how hard it gets. Every act of sacrifice is a step toward the life you deserve, and the more you are willing to sacrifice today, the greater the rewards will be tomorrow to push yourself to be great. Embrace sacrifice as your strategy, your mindset, and your way of life. Make decisions today that your future self will thank you for. Understand that every discomfort, every delayed pleasure, every extra effort is not a loss. It is a deposit into the life you are building. Sacrifice is the bridge to greatness, the price of success, and the key to unlocking your full potential. Those who master it rise. Those who avoid it remain average. Choose sacrifice. Choose greatness. Your future depends on it. Owning your journey fully is the ultimate act of power and responsibility. It is the moment when you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or luck for where you are in life and recognize one undeniable truth. Your life is the product of your choices. Every decision you've made, every action you've taken, every thought you've entertained has brought you to this point. Nothing and no one else is responsible for your success, your failures, or your future. Only you. Most people go through life trying to deflect responsibility. They blame the system, their upbringing, their environment, or even fate itself. But greatness cannot be claimed by those who refuse to take ownership. To push yourself to be great, you must accept full responsibility for your journey, for the good, the bad, and everything in between. You must embrace the idea that your life is yours alone to shape, and nothing outside of you can define your destiny unless you allow it. Owning your journey means acknowledging your past without letting it define you. It means facing the mistakes, the failures, and the moments when you fell short and saying, this happened and I take responsibility for it, but it does not control me. Too many people remain stuck in the past because they refuse to accept ownership. They replay old mistakes, cling to old regrets, and allow them to dictate their present behavior. But owning your journey is liberating because it releases you from the chains of blame. When you fully own your life, you stop pointing fingers. You stop seeking excuses. You stop waiting for permission. Instead, you understand that your future is not determined by what happened yesterday or what someone else did to you, but by the actions you take right now in this exact moment. The power lies in ownership. The power lies in recognizing that you are the architect of your own destiny. Ownership also demands honesty. It requires that you look at yourself without delusion, without self-deception, and without excuses. You must examine your habits, your choices, and your mindset, and be brutally honest about the ways you have contributed to your current circumstances. This is not about shame or guilt. It is about clarity. When you see the truth clearly, you gain control over it. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot grow when you blame. You cannot succeed when you hide behind excuses. Owning your journey fully requires courage. The courage to face yourself, the courage to admit mistakes, the courage to confront your weaknesses, and the courage to take responsibility for every outcome in your life. That courage is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who remain a Vera. Owning your journey is also about embracing accountability. It is the willingness to hold yourself to the highest standards, to commit to your goals, and to push yourself even when it is difficult. Most people wait for accountability to come from the outside. They want a coach, a mentor, a friend, or someone to check on them, to remind them to show up or to guide their actions. But true ownership comes from within. It is the ability to be your own leader, to demand more from yourself than anyone else could, and to take full responsibility for your results. When you own your journey fully, you no longer rely on motivation, luck, or approval from others. You rely on discipline, vision, and an unyielding commitment to your own success. Ownership also means understanding that no one owes you anything. Life does not give you opportunities because you are deserving. The world does not recognize your potential because you have talent. Success is not guaranteed because you tried. If you want to push yourself to greatness, you must stop waiting for handouts, praise, or permission. You must step up and create your own path, forge your own opportunities, and demand results from yourself. Greatness comes to those who understand that the only person responsible for their life is them, and that waiting or hoping for someone else to pave the way is a luxury that no one can afford. The journey is yours, and it is your responsibility to navigate it. Owning your journey fully also involves resilience. Life will test you. Challenges will appear. People will doubt you. Circumstances will be unfair. But when you take full ownership, you understand that none of these things have power over you unless you let them. Ownership is the mindset that transforms obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into lessons, and adversity into growth. It is the refusal to let external factors dictate your trajectory. When you own your journey, you do not wait for the storm to pass. You learn to dance in the rain. You take control of your narrative, rewrite the script of your life, and refuse to let circumstances steal your potential. True ownership also means embracing your uniqueness. No two journeys are the same. Comparison is a trap that steals focus and energy. When you own your journey, you stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline or achievements. You stop allowing envy, doubt, or the success of others to undermine your confidence. Your journey is yours alone, with its own pace, challenges, and victories. By owning it fully, you gain the freedom to focus on what matters, to invest your energy in the right places, and to commit fully to the path that will lead you to your version of greatness. Ownership is not passive. It is action-oriented. It is waking up every day with purpose, with clarity, and with commitment. It is making deliberate choices that align with your goals, showing up when it matters, and refusing to quit when it gets hard. Most people drift through rough life because they have not learned to take full responsibility. They wait for guidance, they hope for miracles, and they blame external forces for their failures. But those who own their journey fully are proactive, disciplined, and relentless. They understand that greatness is not granted. It is claimed one intentional action at a time. When you own your journey fully, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a creator of your destiny. You realize that the life you want will not be handed to you. It will not be earned by complaining, blaming, or hoping. It will be earned through vision, action, discipline, and responsibility. You recognize that every choice matters, every moment is an opportunity, and every effort counts. You take full responsibility for your mistakes, your successes, and your failures. You embrace your past, control your present, and shape your future with intentionality and courage. The reality is that most people will never own their journey. They will blame, complain, and rationalize, and as a result, they will never reach their potential. But you are not most people. You are here to push yourself to greatness. You are here to take full responsibility for your life, to stop waiting for others to act, and to claim ownership of every aspect of your journey. Every success, every failure, every step forward or backward is yours to acknowledge, learn from, and use as fuel to move forward. Ownership is the key that unlocks your power, and the moment you embrace it, you become unstoppable. Owning your journey fully is the ultimate expression of freedom, power, and self-mastery. It is the acknowledgement that your life is in your hands and that only you can create the results you desire. It is the refusal to allow circumstances, other people, or fear to dictate your destiny. It is the commitment to take action, embrace accountability, and rise above every obstacle, doubt, and setback. When you own your journey, you no longer wait, you act. You no longer complain, you execute. You no longer blame, you create. That is how you push yourself to be great. That is how you turn potential into reality, dreams into achievements, and vision into legacy. Falling is inevitable. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has faced failure, disappointment, and setbacks. The question is not whether you will fall, it is when and how you will respond. Life is not a straight path. It is full of obstacles, challenges, and moments where the world seems to push you down just to see if you have the strength to rise again. What separates those who reach greatness from those who remain average is not luck, talent, or timing. It is the ability to rise stronger after every fall. Every failure, every mistake, every moment of defeat carries within it the opportunity for growth, resilience, and transformation. The people who push themselves to be great do not fear falling. They prepare to rise. They understand that the fall is not the end. It is the beginning of a new, stronger chapter. Falling is painful. It shakes your confidence, challenges your beliefs, and tests your determination. It is easy to feel defeated, to allow doubt to creep in, and to let fear paralyze you after a setback. Most people stop here. Most people see failure as proof that they are incapable, that they are unworthy, or that they are destined to remain average. But greatness is not reserved for those who never fall. Greatness is reserved for those who rise every single time they hit the ground. The fall is not a reflection of weakness. It is a test of your strength, a challenge to see if your desire for success is greater than your fear of pain. To rise stronger, you must first accept that falling is part of the journey. You cannot avoid it, but you can control how you respond. Rising stronger requires reflection. You must examine the fall without shame or excuses. You must ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I learn? How can I improve? This is where the power of failure lies. Not in the pain itself, but in the lessons it teaches. Every setback carries a message. Every mistake reveals an opportunity for growth. The person who refuses to reflect, who blames others, who denies responsibility, will continue to fall repeatedly without learning. The person who embraces reflection, who studies the fall, who uses it as fuel, will rise stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the challenges ahead. Reflection transforms failure from a source of despair into a stepping stone toward greatness. Rising stronger also requires resilience. Resilience is the muscle that develops when you refuse to be broken by adversity. It is forged through repeated challenges, through moments when you feel weak but continue to push, through times when the world seems against you but you refuse to quit. Resilience is the ability to endure discomfort, to persist in the face of pain, and to recover faster and more powerfully than before. Every time you rise after a fall, your resilience grows. Every time you refuse to surrender, your strength multiplies. The people who reach greatness are not those who avoided failure. They are those who built the capacity to bounce back stronger each time life knocked them down. Rising stronger requires mindset. You must see every setback not as a permanent defeat, but as a temporary pause in your journey. You must cultivate the belief that you are capable of more than you ever imagined, that every obstacle is surmountable, and that every failure is an opportunity to prove your determination. A person without this mindset will be crushed by adversity, paralyzed by fear, and controlled by circumstance. A person with this mindset will turn failure into fuel, challenges into opportunities, and setbacks into stepping stones. The mind determines the response. The mind determines whether you rise weaker or rise stronger. To push yourself to greatness, you must develop a mind that sees the fall as part of the climb, the loss as part of the victory, and the struggle as part of the triumph. Rising stronger is also about action. Reflection and mindset are essential, but they are meaningless without decisive action. After a fall, the people who achieve greatness move. They refuse to wallow in regret, self-pity, or excuses. They take responsibility for the situation, adjust their strategy, and act with renewed focus and intensity. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a declaration that the fall does not define you. Every effort to rebuild, improve, and advance is a demonstration of your commitment to greatness. Rising stronger requires courage. The courage to face the consequences of failure, to embrace the work of recovery, and to act boldly even when uncertainty lingers. Resilience, mindset, reflection, and action all combine to create transformation. The fall is not the enemy, it is the catalyst. It is the fire that tempers your will, the pressure that strengthens your resolve, and the challenge that expands your capacity. Every time you rise after a fall, you become more prepared for the next challenge. Every time you refuse to quit, you demonstrate to yourself that nothing can stop you except your own decision. The people who push themselves to greatness do not achieve it by avoiding pain. They achieve it by learning to harness it, control it, and transform it into strength. Rising stronger also demands patience. Recovery takes time. Growth takes time. Lessons take time to integrate into your life and strategy. It is easy to expect immediate results, to become frustrated when success does not appear instantly, and to feel defeated by repeated setbacks. But those who understand the power of rising stronger recognize that every fall is part of a larger process. They trust the journey, remain disciplined, and maintain faith in their ability to overcome. Patience, combined with action, ensures that every effort after a fall compounds into progress, and every setback becomes a building block for future success. Rising stronger requires vision. You must see the bigger picture. Every fall is temporary, but the life you are building is permanent. The temporary pain of failure is insignificant compared to the long-term rewards of perseverance, dedication, and growth. Greatness is not measured by how many times you avoid falling. It is measured by how many times you rise, adapt, and continue moving forward. A person without vision sees only the pain of the fall. A PE, our son with vision sees the opportunity, the lesson, and the path forward. That vision fuels action, strengthens resilience, and ensures that every setback becomes a setup for a comeback. Rising stronger is also contagious. The way you respond to failure inspires those around you. When others see you get up after being knocked down, they witness the power of persistence, courage, and determination. Your resilience becomes a model for others, a source of motivation, and a living example that greatness is not the absence of failure. It is the mastery of recovery. Those who push themselves to be great do so not only for themselves, but for the example they set. They prove that no matter the fall, the climb continues. No matter the setback, progress is possible. No matter the pain, strength is attainable. The truth is, everyone falls, everyone fails. Everyone faces moments where they feel broken, defeated, or lost. The difference between those who remain average and those who rise to greatness is what they do after the fall. Do they stay down, paralyzed by fear, regret, or shame? Or do they rise stronger, fueled by the lessons of failure, the fire of determination, and the unwavering belief in their own potential? To push yourself to be great, you must choose the latter. You must embrace the fall as part of the journey. The struggle is part of the climb, and the pain is part of the process. Every fall is an opportunity. Every setback is a teacher. Every failure is a chance to rise stronger than ever before. Rising stronger after every fall is the final step in the journey to greatness. It is the culmination of courage, resilience, reflection, mindset, action, patience, and vision. It is the understanding that failure is not the enemy, it is the fuel. The people who achieve greatness are not those who never stumble. They are those who rise every time, stronger, smarter, and more determined than before. They understand that each fall prepares them for the next challenge, that every setback is temporary, and that their destiny is determined not by what happens to them, but by how they respond. To push yourself to greatness, embrace the fall, learn from it, act on it, and rise stronger. That is how legends are made. That is how ordinary people become unstoppable. That is how you claim your life and your greatness, no matter how many times you are knocked down. Now, listen to me carefully, because this is where it all comes together. Every lesson, every principle, every keynote we've talked about is not just theory. It is a blueprint for action, for growth, for transformation. If you leave here today thinking, I'll try later, or I'll do it when it's convenient, you are cheating yourself. Pushing yourself to be great is not a someday goal. It is not a wish. It is a decision. And it is a fight that begins the moment you commit. Your time is limited. Your potential is enormous. The difference between the life you have now and the life you are capable of living is action. Relentless, unflinching, daily action that refuses to accept excuses, limitations, or comfort. Everything we have covered. The fire to push beyond what you think is possible, the discipline to be consistent, the courage to sacrifice, the ownership of your journey, and the resilience to rise stronger. These are the tools that separate dreamers from doers. And it starts right now, today, in this moment. Think about this. There is a version of you that is capable of greatness.